Hello, and welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. We are in what is this? Week 7 of our seed starting series. And today we're going to plant a few more things. Let's get started. In this seed starting series, one of the first things I like to do is give you an update of what's going on in the grow tent behind me. And let me show you how they've been doing over the last 6 weeks, because this is week 7. Welcome back to week 7 seedlings update. Let me show you how my young plants are doing. So these are my brassicas with a few lettuces that kind of snuck in there. They could actually go out right now if the weather was cooperating, but it's way too early in my grow zone. These are those last of the onion that I started. These are the first onion that I started. So 7 weeks ago, I started these onion. Look how thick they are now. Look how thick they're getting. So when it's time for these to go into the ground, you see they're starting to get some decent size, stems on them. So they'll be ready to go in the ground in about 4 to 6 weeks. Down here, we have all of our lettuce. So if you've been following my series, this is the dark rodent that was on life support 2 weeks ago. Look how beautiful that is. That looks just amazing. Actually, all of this lettuce is amazing. The dynamite, which I thought wasn't doing a thing, has bounced back. This is actually a heading lettuce. The bib has outgrown itself. I really should have up potted those this week, but I'll do it next week. There's some more, the herbs in there. The rhubarb in the back looks amazing. So this is the rhubarb back there. Some more Napa cabbage and some broccoli. I actually had one cell of that broccoli actually produce. I'm surprised. Those seeds were like so old. I still have 3 cells of Tiny Tim there. I have the orange hat, which is a micro dwarf tomato back there as well. And I'll be adding that to the GreenStalk next week. And then another red lettuce. And then all the way down here, I have the celery. The celery is looking really, really good. I ended up with 30 celery plants. Nope, take that back. 24 celery plants. That's a curly kale and the collards and the mustard. They have all broke ground. We planted them last week. They're looking really, really good. And then over here are all of those peppers that we started. Look at all of those peppers. So far, nothing has broken ground. I didn't expect it to. Peppers are very slow to break through the ground. So it's only been 7 days. And so hopefully by this time next week, we will start seeing a little bit of green peeking out of there. For the potatoes, they are looking very healthy. And I really need to backfill this pot with dirt. I need to take the dirt and take it almost to the top of the pot. I did give my onion a haircut last week. And so for that bio waste, or, the waste from cutting the heads off, I just threw it in this pot so that it can break down and compost right there in that pot. Here's the other potato pot. And again, it's doing as well as the one in the back. Back here, if you can see this is my romaine lettuce. And it's doing well, but it seems to have stopped growing up. I guess it's putting on those roots, but it's very, very healthy, especially in the middle. See how dark that is right there in the middle? So they're doing very well, though. No issues with them in any way. And then we get to the GreenStalk. So let me see if I can back up just a little bit so you can get a better view. So in the top are the Tiny Tims and the Red Robin. And I completely buried these last week. I mean, just the tips were sticking out. And in 1 week's time, they're already breaking through the ground. Saving this pocket here for the orange hat, which will be next week. This next tier with dark rodent, the bib, the little gem, some more dark rodent, and some more little gem. So they're looking healthy. I have not cut any of those yet. Down here on these next two rows, I only planted 5 carrot seeds in each of these pockets, and actually about 4 of them, if not 5, grew in each one of them. As I was thinking nothing was happening, I guess I just was paying too close attention. It just needed to do its thing. So we have been eating lettuce for 2 weeks now. We haven't cut this one yet, so we'll cut this one this week. We've actually cut all of this out and it's already growing back, so we'll be cutting this one again. I cut them by the leaves. I call it cut and come again. So this was cut this week. You can see where we chopped it off here, and it's already starting to come back, putting on little new leaves of lettuce there. Same thing here. We cut this one as well. We cut this one all the way down 2 weeks ago, and look, it's already coming back. All right, and then we'll go down to the bottom here. This is all bok choy. And look how dark and healthy these cabbages are. Bok choy is a type of cabbage in my mind, but they're very, very healthy. And that's it for my week 7 seedling update. So as you can see, my seedlings are doing amazing. The tower's doing amazing. The potatoes are doing great. It's time to do some backfilling of the dirt, but we don't have time to do that today. I'm traveling a lot and I want to make sure that I, at a minimum, start the seeds that I need to start this week. Everything else is going to have to just wait 1 more week. I'm traveling a lot and I don't have time to get to it right now. So for today, we're going to just start a few seeds, and we're going to make sure that everything that we have back there can survive another week with watering and a lot of love from my family instead of me. So for this week, there are a few things that we need to get started pretty quickly. And some of those include flowers. We're finally to the point where we need to be starting flowers. I have some flowers that takes 8 to 12 weeks prior to you planting them outside. And of these 2 particular ones, it could take up to 28 days to even germinate. So, I mean, like to even break ground, it can take 28 days. So I need to get these 2 in the ground as soon as possible. They're actually the exact same flower, wax begonias, but I have a white wax begonia and a red. Hopefully you could see that. The seeds are more like a powder. It's not even a real seed. It's just like just a real fine powder. And you don't even cover them with dirt. You just put them down. You don't cover them with dirt. And in a roughly 3 weeks or so, you'll start seeing them break ground. So we need to take care of the begonias. That's the only 2 flowers that I'm starting today. The other things that I'm going to get started include another round of my Napa cabbage. I have a couple more types of Napa cabbage that I would like to start. This one here is called a Bilko cabbage. It's a Chinese cabbage, Napa type, used for spring and fall planting. It's a large, densely packed barrel-shaped head. So I'm assuming this is going to be a very, very large Napa cabbage. This one's a new one for me this year, but it looked good when I was online at Harris Seeds when I purchased it. So yes, these came from Harris Seeds. Okay. The other Napa cabbage that I'm going to be growing is from Baker Creek, and it's a Chinese cabbage called Hilton. Hilton. And it says that this is a superior Napa type that has seldom been seen in the U.S., so it's not very common in the U.S. It's a medium-sized barrel-shaped head that are densely packed with crinkled, mild-tasting leaves. And then here's the best part of all. It says it's easy to grow. That was the kicker for me. So we'll be growing those two Napa cabbages. And then I actually have three more cabbages that I'm going to start because I like to start my cabbage in succession. And so I've already started a stonehead. I've started a Dutch flat or flat Dutch. And so now I'm going to start four, actually, I thought it was four. Yes, four more types of traditional cabbages. So I'm going to do the red and golden acre. From M.I. Gardner. These are very tightly packed plants on a very short stem. So they should do really, really well in my garden. And I don't have to worry about them, shading out other plants since they're going to be nice and short. And then I'm going to do the early Jersey. You have to do the early Jersey. The early Jersey matures in 60 to 75 days. And it has a very pointed head. So it says that the heads grow in a slightly pointed shape, reaching 15 inches tall and 6 inches across, while maintaining resistance to splitting. So I do have cabbages that split every now and then, so it resists that. But it says these are good for soups and salads. So we will be doing the Jersey. And then here's another brand, another type of cabbage is from Fruition Seeds. I'm not going to pronounce it because I'll mess it up. So I just want to make sure you can see it there. You see the picture of it? Isn't it gorgeous? It's different, right? Having that very pointy shaped head is very different. So that's why I picked these up. And this is an heirloom from the southern part of France. It's been around since 1850. So that's nice. It's been around a long time. It has a delectable, delicate white leaves forming a gentle cone. It's early and compact. Let's see how early it is. Does it say? 80 days. This is an 80-day. I don't know how early 80 days is, but this is an early day, 80-day cabbage. And then there's just two other things that we'll be starting. We'll be starting Gurney's Blue Ribbon Hybrid. And so Gurney's is the brand. So there's Gurney's. And it's a broccoli that we'll be starting. It doesn't really say much about it other than it's 52 days to maturity. And it usually germinates in 3 to 10 days. So it should come up pretty quick. So, and then the last one I have is actually from Johnny's. I've already planted some of these already and they came up, but this is my second round of my cauliflower. So Flame Star is the type cauliflower that I have. And this will be my second round of cauliflower. Don't usually do really well with cauliflower. So the first round don't make it, try, and try again. So those are the seeds that I'm going to be starting today. That's all of them. There's just going to be 5 trays of seeds. So five of these. So let me get those filled and let's get this show on the road. It's been a while since I talked about my seed starting mix. So I'll just share this again just in case there's some newcomers here. I use a Jiffy or Miracle Grow or whatever you can get from your big box store. This is an all natural organic seed starting mix. And I sterilize my mix by putting boiling water in it and let it sit for a day or at least till it cools before I use it. And so I have a container of it right here. Let's pour some out. I don't need it all. And I will briefly show you how I fill my containers because, again, there are some new people here. They may not know the process. So let me just share briefly, quickly how I do it. So typically, I just put my mix in. Once I have my mix in, I like to push it down and then I refill it. And that's it. That's the process. And I will do that with all 5 of the little trays that I have here for today. Put it in, push it down. All right. I like to have my seed starting mix moist to begin with, right? So I'm going to start moist so that I don't have to worry about trying to water. And when it is time to water, when it's drying out and the seed mix is getting a light brown, that's when it's time to water. And you always water from the bottom. So if you're not sure when you need to water, check out my watering of seedlings. I have a video on how to water your plants. And so you can check that out if you need a little help in understanding what you're looking for before you need to water. You don't want soggy bottoms on your plants. So if you overwater, you could be harming your plants. And the last one here, again, this is not a big week of planting. As you'll see in my video, I have a ton of stuff already started. And I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start doing something with all that lettuce. But my travel schedule will slow down here after this week. And I can start doing some work outdoors, preparing the garden space, because I am only about a month out, like 4 to 6 weeks out before I'll be outside planting in the raised beds. So I need to get a move on. So the first thing that I have up here is the red begonias. And I'm telling you, it's a powder. It's not a typical seed that you're used to seeing. It's a very, very, very fine powder. And to plant the begonias, let me see if I got directions on here. The temperature needs to be between 75 and 80 degrees. The average germination time is 14 to 28 days. Light is required, and it says do not cover. So we will not be covering these plants. So let's see if I can sprinkle a teeny amount of this very, 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 very fine seed. It says there's over 5,000 seeds in here. I don't know if you can see, but it's so fine. So I probably just planted like 300 or 400 seeds. But it's so, so fine. That's why we're only doing 1 6-cell tray here. And the way I did them last year is as they started coming up and they got big enough for me to separate them out, I took them from, I think I had them in 6 cells. And then I put them into a little small 12 cell. And then I went from the 12 cell to a bigger cell because they are going to be tiny. But the roots are going to start growing pretty long where you can separate them out. So that's the red begonia. So let me put my tag in it before I forget. And it says don't cover, but I don't want them flying around either. So let me press them down just a hair. So let's move on. Let me put that back before I get them mixed up. And we will move on to the white begonias. Last year when I grew these, they were beautiful. Oh my goodness, they were so beautiful. But I ended up with a pink begonia. 1 pink. I had whites, I had reds, and I had 1 pink. So I have 4 cells here that I'm trying to separate these seeds into where they're not right on top of each other. Give them a little pat because it says do not cover. So I'm just going to give them a little pat down. I don't have begonias growing everywhere because the seeds are so small I can't see them. All right, there's the begonias. All right, let's move into some fun stuff. So of all of these other seeds, I'm planting one and only one cell. So my goal is to grow one cell and then separate it into more cells as they grow, break ground, and get a little bigger. So I'm trying to limit the amount of space that I'm using since I'm upping the amount of seeds that I'm starting this year. All right. So this is the Hilton. One cell is all Hilton gets, but I tried to put 4, but that sure does look like 6 seeds in there. So let me put these begonias back up before I forget. I've already closed the Hilton. And now I need to just barely cover them with soil. All right, so this was the Hilton. All right, we're going to get to the Blinko. Am I saying that right? Bilko. Oh, this is a different looking seed. Interesting. So usually the seeds have a little like brownish, reddish color to them. And this particular seed is more green. It's very, very, very green. I'm sure you can't see it, but it's the first time I've seen a green Napa seed. All right. So I put 6 in there. I know that's a lot, but let's see how many we get. That's the Bilko. Now we're going to move on to the broccoli. And again, the broccoli is from Gurney's. It's called Blue Ribbon Hybrid. It says it has a lot of side shoots, which is great. That's what we like to see. Okay. Broccoli, blue ribbon. Moving back to the cauliflower, which I only have 1 brand of cauliflower. So I'm handling these seeds pretty good today. I'm proud of myself. The only thing about planting your seeds this densely, it's imperative that you separate and up pot them, or you're going to have to cut out the ones that you don't use. And that's such a waste to have the seeds and not use them. But by putting 4 to 6 seeds in here, I should get 4 to 6 plants. And I'm the type person, I want all my plants. All right, that was the cauliflower. And when it's time to plant outdoors, into your garden, I typically only plant, I stagger like every 2 weeks, I plant another set. So that way I can stagger the season where it's not all coming in at one time that I have to figure out what to do with it. But those are the first 4. Now we're going to move on to the cabbage. So we're going to do the golden acre first. This is definitely the way to go. If you don't have a lot of space for seed starting, do this high intensity dense planting. And if you're very careful, you can separate your plants out and put them into larger cells a little later on so that you're not taking up so much room early on in your growing space. And maybe you don't have to have as many grow lights going. Grow lights do use electricity. The fewer cells you have going at a time is the fewer lights that you need to grow at any one time. So that was the golden acre. Now we're going to do that red cabbage. or the red acre is what it's called. And I'm not a big red cabbage fan, but we are going to plant a few of them this year. I like red cabbage in my coleslaw. That's about it. I am working really hard to put 6 seeds in here. And with that many seeds in here, I will have to transplant them a lot faster because there's no root space. So without a lot of root space, I will eventually have to transplant, or not transplant, but up pot sooner than I would have if I had only put 1 or 2 into that cell. But right now, it's all about efficiency because I don't have a lot of time at home. I've been traveling this is week 7, and I've traveled 6 of these 7 weeks. All right, this is the early Jersey. Again, I'm going to try to get 6 and only 6, 4, 5, 1 more. I was all out of seed starting mix, and so I had to buy more. And this is heavy, heavy, heavy on the cocoa core. They got that excess salt out of it. Cocoa core has a lot of salt in it. Typically, not always, but typically. When you think about where coconuts grow, they're really close to a lot of salt water, right? And it's readily available. So hopefully we don't have to worry about too much salt on these seeds. All right. And this last one, which I just think this is just so cool. And it says that this particular cabbage, it says that it can get up to 2 feet tall. That's going to be very, very interesting. I hope that it does well in the garden this year. Hopefully we'll have a spring so that I can see it do well in the garden this year. Last year we went from a very wet winter to summer, and everything bolted on me pretty early on. So I'm hoping that we have a better season this year. But if we don't have a good spring, there's always fall. There's that last cabbage. So I don't know what I was thinking. I made 1 tray too many, but that's all of my seeds. So I'm going to assume we are done. So there we have it. So let me get this moved into the green house, or should I say indoor grow tent. All right. So there we have it. Week 7's seedlings that I started today. This light here is so bright, I didn't want to turn it on until I finished. But these seedlings are ready to go. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I will keep this content coming as long as you want it to. Thank you so much for those who have already subscribed. I appreciate you. I'm enjoying the comments. We will continue going down this road together on this journey. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.